Hello and welcome back, or welcome for the first time to Holy Shift. I'm Stephanie Gray, and let's talk about what's going on. Let's talk about the massive shifting that's happening on the planet. And if you are confused about what I'm even talking about, let's chat about that as well. So a couple of months ago, at least, probably at this point, I wrote an article that's up on my website, and you can certainly read the whole thing if you feel called to do so. But the first paragraph or two talk about the shift in consciousness that I believe is happening. So I'm just going to read from that, and then we can move from there. But yeah, so I'll just read. Some people call the times we're in the Great Awakening, the shift, and even ascension. Others look to holy books and ancient texts, Krita Yuga, apocalypse, Mayan prophecy, and the list goes on. Astrologers point to the grand alignments, and solar physicists study the jump in our sun's activities. No matter how you look at it, we are undeniably in transformative times. And I believe this is good news. So let's talk a little bit about that. First of all, I guess I want to say for me personally, it has taken a massive burden off of my shoulders to not try and figure it all out with my head. I could go into like book mode and really research everything and try and figure it out with my brain and intellectualize it. But I've been told again and again that this transformation that's happening is bringing us more into our heart space and less into that intellectual um, brain situation that we have going on right now. And that's why it feels so weird, probably too, right? For many of us. Um, but so we are being asked, I believe, to move more into our heart space. And what does that look like? And what does that look like? Um, I believe, and maybe I'm a little biased, but I believe that it looks like stepping more into our own creator space, into our own heart space that is divinity. It is a sparkle, a spark of that divine peace that we are part and parcel of, that we have within all of us. Now, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it truth, you can call it God, you can call it divinity, creative spark, creator, being, whatever. But I truly believe it's sort of all meant to lead us into a bigger awakening through the heart. And as we're doing that, things must come to the surface in order to be healed, in order for us to see them, and then to sort of look at, transmute, transform, whatever word you would like to use, but to not brush them under the carpet anymore. And so that we can, once they are transmuted, there is room for that larger part of us, that higher self, if you will, or divine spark, to step in and meet us where we are, and so that we can become these um, heart-centered, compassionate, divine beings, so that we can know that piece of us. And And so, yeah, I mean, it sounds great and amazing, and it is, but it's also a journey, right? And I do believe we are being asked to look at our own wounding and to notice that not only in ourselves, but that's happening on the outside too, right? And so, as we do that, and as we become a little more available to do that, because we've made some room, we've made room for our heart to open, we've made room for compassion and for stillness and for a grounded space, that we may see the world in front of us shifting and changing as well as we shift and change. But also, it gives us the ability to notice what is happening outside of us and not necessarily need to take it on as our own truth. So we get to, I truly believe like we're in a masterclass of figuring out what is true for us, what is our own truth, and what is like, universal truth as well. But in order to do that, I think we're going through whatever we need to go through as individuals to find that, and then to anchor that in and to be that and to move from that spot in that place. And if we're moving from a place of, you know, divine compassion, of light, of wisdom and awareness, it's going to guide what happens next. And we're just, we're fully present, over and over again in the next steps. And so it perhaps, I'm hoping it seems to be working a little bit for me, um, able to handle what will happen next in this grand shift, because I do believe that we're not out of the woods yet by any means. I believe we've just sort of started going into the woods, as far as oh my gosh, the global shifting and the weather patterns and the world itself going through her own transformation, and all that is included with that, and then whatever we need to look at internally, I think will be presented on the global stage too. So one of the things that my guides shared with me years ago, because I was having such a hard time with all what seemed to be the darkness in the world, um, was that they gave me the example of being in a nightclub, and you're having a great time, you're dancing with someone that you really feel connected with and you're attracted to maybe, and the drinks are flowing and the music is amazing, right? And then it's last call and the lights get flipped on, and they are like not just subtle little ambient light. It is overhead fluorescent, shining right down on everything. And you realize like, oh, okay, the person I've been dancing with is maybe not somebody that I would normally want to hang out with. um there's bugs on the floor, there's dirt, there's puke, like the whole thing, like it illuminates everything. And so you're seeing things with fresh eyes, and I feel like that's what's happening. That's what they told me. Like, here's an example. So the more light that's coming onto the planet, which I believe, as we've just talked about, the solar flashes and all of that is, and just the fact that this is a natural progression and evolution, um, is waking us up to the dirt and the grime and the dark. And it is not easy. It's not easy to look at. Um, it is, it can be painful, not unlike the birthing process, right? So when you think of the birthing process, you think of, if someone were to be looking at it from fresh eyes and didn't know what was going on, they might think, oh my God, that person is dying. There's so much blood and there's pain and there's screaming and there's, you know, people moving about, frantically or whatever. And it's messy. And that's sort of where we find ourselves. And so for a while, as the light keeps shining on things, we're going to see certain situations that we have not noticed before. Kyle Cease made a great example of this. The other day, I was listening to him on a broadcast, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the podcast, but he was talking about, um, when you're in a room and there light shines in the room, you see dust and things floating all over the place, but you don't see that when the light's not there, right? I mean, it could be there all the time, or when you've sat on the bed and then you stir it all up. You don't see it unless the light comes in and shines on it, and then you get to see what's actually happening. So it's very similar to that. So all of that to say, I believe that is what is going on. For me, the way I get through it is make art, go on walks, hug a tree, journal, get very still, hang out with my guides, and I do that through creativity, and have community and talk to people who are not going to look at you like, oh my God, you're nuts, and normalize it and feel your way through. One of the things that my guides told me early on again was you won't be able to figure it out with your head, with the intellect. You'll need to go within and move through the heart more. So I have babbled on enough today, but I'm looking forward to where this goes and the conversations to have and just really where this leads. So thank you for hanging out with me for a little bit. And yeah, until next time.